India and Italy are two great countries with three things in common. They both share a love of food, we both have inefficient state airlines, and the leaders of both our countries happen to be Italian. They're both countries in which television is an enormous influence, but there's a hard core of dedicated readers who will go out and buy books and support writers. Penguin and Einaudi are both the best publishers in their respective countries. Einaudi, for me, has published some of my favorite writers anywhere, not just in Italy. Natalia Ginzburg, Primo Levi, Calvino, etc. In all of Europe, my book has sold best in Italy. It's a mystery to me, but it's a very happy mystery. You know, the title was the last thing that I wrote on the book, so I thought of many different titles, and nothing was. I was actually going to publish it as Bombay Story, which is a damn squib of a title. Then it just suddenly came to me that this is a city which is, it's the maximum of the urban experience. So you walk out onto the streets of Bombay and there are people, living, going to the toilet, doing business, making love, killing each other, all on the streets. And anything you can say about cities, wealth or poverty, or sadness or happiness or laughter, tears, is all here, and it's extreme. It's to the maximum of all urban experience. In all senses of the word, it's a maximum city. I'll demonstrate the difficulties and actually the wonderful things about India. This is a 500 rupee note. You notice all these different languages in which, there are I think about 16 languages in which the denomination is printed. And all these different scripts for each language have a different script. So this is just the currency of the country. It has to be understood in all these different countries. In India, if you publish a book in English, about 5% of the country has access to it. You still have this 95%. And if you publish a book in Hindi, the literary magazines in languages like Gujarati or Kannada, they have circulations in the hundreds of thousands. There's a Gujarati magazine called Akhandanan, which for its Diwali issue, they published something like 500,000 copies. And I can't imagine any literary magazine in America, for instance, or Italy, selling 500,000 copies of a magazine that publishes short stories. So a language that is not supported by a literary culture is a language that's going to die out sooner or later. So I was speaking with the head of Penguin India, who told me he investigated how these pirates operate, and the way it happens is that it gets printed somewhere, and if, let's say, you're the boss of a street gang and you want to sell these pirated books, you contact someone who contacts the actual printer of the pirated books, and you never meet the printer. You give some money to somebody who takes it to somebody else, who takes it to the printer, and then you are given a ticket for a left luggage locker. And then you go to that locker, all you have is the ticket, and in the locker will be the number of copies that you have ordered from the pirate. The day I see those pirates sell my books and not give me royalties is the day I know that Bombay has accepted my book. And it happened to me. My book's available all over the Bombay streets, and I don't get a single paisa out of it. But I was in a taxi once going to the airport, and this kid came up with a clutch of books, and my book was on top, and I asked him what it was, and he said, "Oh, this is Maximum City, it has all Bombay in it." And I said, "How much is it?" And he said, 600 rupees. And I said, 600, I've written this book, I'm the author of this book. And he said, "Fine, if you're the author of this book, you can have it for 400. And I told my publisher, fire all your sales force and hire these kids. Among my friends, Calvino is worshipped. Invisible Cities is a masterpiece. I wish I could write like that, but it's fiction, and someday I hope to return to fiction. But it's fiction which is very indicative. If you read Invisible Cities, you find that it's actually a lot of insights on current cities and the ways of operating that this great mind has just dreamt up. There's two big sort of broad types of cities on the planet, and one is cities like Rome, New York, Paris, London, who are characterized by unprecedented influx of immigrants from other countries. So in Rome, you have people coming in from Romania and Northern Africa and so forth. And the greatest challenge right now for this first group of cities of the rich countries is how to absorb international migration. And then there's this other group of cities like Bombay, Sao Paulo, Lagos, Bangkok, who have huge influxes from the countryside of their own countries. And in the second group, they're growing at much faster rates than the first groups. I mean, it's just unimaginable. These cities are as big as countries. So, for example, the city of Chongqing in China, which the Chinese created by combining 5 different cities and creating one giant megacity, has about 35 million people. Right about now, for the first time in human history, more human beings live in cities than in villages. So far, we've been a village species, and everything that, the way we relate to other people, our religion, it's been dictated by the experience of living in small settlements, in villages. That's all changing, and it's changing incredibly fast. There's 200 million people now who are living in a country other than they were born in. There are 1 billion people living in slums or squatter settlements around the world. I think it's very important for people in any kind of business to understand this tectonic shift that's happening right now, of this movement from village to city and from poor city to rich city, because it affects all of us, whether you are a movie star or whether you're selling toothpaste. Well, as I've said before, if the novel is dead, then I'm a necrophiliac. People have been forecasting the death of the book for years. So I've looked at the iPod and the Kindle. The book is a marvelous device. You can take it to the bathroom, you can go back and forth at it, it's cheap, you can throw it away, it's fine if it gets wet in the rain. Why would you want to replace it? And I can understand the convenience factor. You can carry a whole library in your pocket. But I don't think they will replace the book. They will be an accessory to the book. So I will buy a Kindle when I'm traveling, and if I'm thinking of a book and I want it right there and I don't have access to a bookstore, then it's very convenient to get it right there. But I will always prefer to open a book and then to smell it. The first thing that I do with books, and I've done this since I was a child, you open and smell the pages, and I notice that the British books have a different smell from the Italian books, who have a different smell from the American books, and certainly from the Indian books. Much later in life, I find out why this was so. It's not the pages, it's the glue in the binding. That's where you get the smell from. So I'm a glue sniffer, yes. Column generally is called Senza Frontiere, which is a title I love because I've lived my life without frontiers. And I was deeply honored to be asked to write a regular column for L'Espresso, along with Umberto Eco and luminaries like that. So I can write on anything I want, and they're wonderful editors. I've written about the Haitian earthquake and life in cities and finding a poetry bookshop in Lisbon. And it's the only regular column I write, and I get a lot of responses from Italy. Once I wrote about being ill, and I got all these letters from people in Italy saying, "Dear Mr. Mehta, we hope you're fine now." So it's my regular connection with the country of Italy, and I just love it. I go more often to Italy than to any other country in Europe, and each time I go there, I like it for the same reason that I like India. It's the warmth of the people. It's that simple.